Tonight, we have a powerful story of betrayal and resilience, told in the first in author's own words. It's called The Liar's Stage, written by a contributor who wishes to remain anonymous. It begins with a decorated army officer, a devoted wife, who discovered her husband's plan to drug her, frame her for cheating with his best friend, and force her into a divorce to steal their assets. He thought she would crumble. He didn't know she was a major, and on this stage, she was the one rewriting the script. The weight of the duffel bag in my hand felt satisfying as I walked through the stained lobby of my condo building that evening. I was still riding the high of finishing a grueling command course and pinning on the gold oak leaf of a major. Frank, the building's doorman, saw me and his eyes widened. "Well, look at you. Major Connolly, back from the wars, huh? That new rank on your shoulder is shining bright. Congratulations." "Thanks, Frank," I smiled. "Just wrapped up training, got my promotion and took the first leave I could to get home. How's my husband Mark been doing?" Frank hesitated for a fraction of a second. "Oh, you know, same old. In and out. Seems real busy lately. Anyway, you should get on up. I'm sure they're all waiting for you." I was filled with anticipation as I unlocked our front door. "Honey, I'm home. Mom, I'm back." My mother-in-law, Carol, rushed out of the kitchen. "Oh, there she is. My major is home. So proud of you, dear. Getting promoted this fast is amazing. We're so proud to have you in the family." I paused. "You're too kind, Carol. It took a lot of hard work, believe me. Where's Mark?" Just then, my husband walked out of his home office. "So, you're back. How many days did you get?" I moved toward him, expecting an embrace after weeks apart, but he subtly leaned away. "I got a full week," I said, my voice tinged with disappointment. "I thought you'd be happy to see me home early." Mark's reply was mild but distant. "Of course I am. It's just work at the firm is a madhouse right now. I'm exhausted. Go on, get a shower and relax." Carol chimed in immediately, her tone so formal it was like she was speaking to a stranger. "That's right. Being a major is a big deal. Leave your bag right there. I'll get it. You go rest up and enjoy this moment." "Carol, please just call me Sarah," I said, an uneasy feeling starting to creep in. "When you keep saying major, it feels so strange. Why does the atmosphere in here feel so off today?" Mark waved a dismissive hand. "You're just being paranoid. All that military discipline has you seeing problems everywhere, doesn't it? Go take that shower, soldier." I took my unease with me into the bedroom, but when I came back out to the living room, things had taken an even stranger turn. Mark was scrolling through his phone. "Hey, Sarah, I invited Jake and my secretary, Heather, over for dinner tonight. A little impromptu party to celebrate your promotion." I couldn't hide my surprise. "Why would you invite people over now, Mark?" "I just got home. I was hoping we could just go out, the two of us, for a quiet dinner. We haven't had any time alone in forever." Mark's face tightened. "Come on, Jake's my best friend, and Heather has been a lifesaver at the office. They heard you got promoted and insisted on congratulating you. I couldn't just say no." I didn't argue further, but the feeling of foreboding was becoming impossible to ignore, and when the doorbell rang, I knew this evening was going to be far more complicated than a simple celebration. Jake came in first, dressed slickly, his eyes raking over me without any attempt to hide his appraisal. "Well, hello there, Major. Have to say, a woman in uniform, there's an authority, a sexiness to it you just don't find anywhere else." I took a small step back. "Hello, Jake. Thank you for the compliment. Please, have a seat." Next came Heather, Mark's secretary. She glided over to me. "Sarah, it's an honor. I've admired you for so long. Working for Mark all these years, I've heard so much about you. It's amazing to finally meet the legendary major in the quote flesh." I managed a polite smile. "Hi, Heather. I've heard you're a huge help to Mark at work. I appreciate everything you do." Heather smiled, her eyes flicking toward Mark with a hidden meaning. "Oh, it's nothing. Mark and I have been attached at the hip for so long, I know his moods like the back of my hand. Sometimes, when he's stressed, I think I know what he needs better than he does. Her words hung in the air, thick with insinuation. Before I could process them, Jake cut in. Mark, you've got it made, man. A wife who's a big shot, kicking ass and taking names out in the world. Bet she's just as intense behind closed doors, huh? I stared directly at him, my voice turning cold. Jake, that's inappropriate. Let's just eat. Mark quickly intervened. Hey, that's just Jake's sense of humor, don't mind him. Come on, everyone. Let's raise a glass to our new major, Sarah Connolly. I lifted my glass on reflex, but Jake's gaze felt like a physical touch, like he was undressing me with his eyes. Mark kept piling food onto my plate. Eat up, honey. You look a little pale. The food on base must be rough. My mother-in-law added her part. Yes, eat. And here, have some water to clear your palate. All that wine isn't good for you. As she finished speaking, Mark handed me a glass of water he'd already poured. Here, drink this. This is from me, to thank you for all the sacrifices you've made for our family over the years. I eyed the glass, suspicious. What's with the sappy speech all of a sudden? I can get my own water. He feigned hurt. There you go again. Can't a husband show his wife some appreciation without being cross-examined? Heather giggled, covering her mouth. Oh, Sarah, just drink it and make him happy. I've worked at the firm for years and I've never seen him pour a glass of water for any woman. You're clearly the exception. Not wanting to escalate things, I took a few large gulps. There, satisfied? Wait, this water tastes strange. Where did you get it from? A flicker of something crossed Mark's eyes. It's just our filtered water from the fridge. You probably just have the taste of wine in your mouth. But seconds later, my world started to spin. I grabbed my head as my breath grew short. Mark, I feel so dizzy. I can't hear you clearly. Everything's blurry. Jake's laughter echoed as if through a long tunnel. Whoa, the Major's A. Lightweight, huh? Maybe I should help you to your room. I tried to push myself away from the table. Stay away from me, Mark. I looked to my husband for help, but what I saw wasn't concern. It was a face as cold and hard as stone. You're tired, he said flatly. Go to sleep. The sounds around me began to break apart. My vision blurred into nothing. And just before my consciousness collapsed into a black void, the last thing I saw was Jake's leering, triumphant face. Awareness returned in fragments. The first sensation was a blinding headache, as if someone were hammering against the inside of my skull. Then came the harsh, white light, forcing my eyes shut. It took me a moment to realize I was in my own bed, but everything was wrong. My body felt leaden, my limbs unresponsive. My clothes were in disarray. And the thing that sent a chill down my spine was the naked body of Jake lying next to me. He wasn't panicked. He looked perfectly calm. I struggled to sit up, but before I could orient myself, Mark's voice cut through the haze. Sarah, just look at yourself. I never thought you were this kind of woman. He shoved his phone in my face, the screen showing a video. I clutched my head. What are you talking about, Mark? Why is Jake in our bed? Before he could answer, a sharp sting exploded across my cheek. It was my mother-in-law, her face contorted with rage. You tramp! I knew something was up. When you got promoted so fast. I bet this is how you climbed the ladder, isn't it, you whore? Before I could form a response, Heather added her voice to the chorus. Oh my God, Sarah, how could you? Mark had just taken me and his mom downstairs to grab some bottled water, and we come back to this. I took a deep, steadying breath, forcing myself to think. The pieces began to click into place. Downstairs to get water? How long does that take? Mark, I said, my voice dangerously low. That drink you gave me, what was in it? He erupted. You dare blame me. I was taking care of you because you looked tired. Turns out you were just using my kindness as cover to cheat on me with my best friend in my own house. Jake sat up then, pulling the sheet over himself with a disgusting smirk. Look, Mark, I'm sorry, man. It was all Sarah. She said her promotion made her feel wild, that she wanted to try something new. She pulled me in here. Rage surged through me. I locked my eyes on him. You shut your mouth. Jake, look me in the eye and tell me I pulled you in here. Tell me when. Because I don't remember a single thing. He shrugged, his lips curling. Well, you were drunk. You did it and you forgot. Or maybe you're pretending to forget. I'll give you this, though. For a high-ranking officer, you're pretty damn wild in bed. Mark didn't hesitate. He threw a stack of papers onto the bed. That's enough. The proof is right there. I don't need an explanation. I can't live with a woman who has disgraced me and my family. I didn't answer. The details were becoming chillingly clear. The lie about buying water. The fact that my body showed no signs of actual sexual activity. This wasn't a random event, this was a play, and it was the most despicable one I had ever witnessed. Mark pulled a pre-printed document from a drawer. Sign it. Don't make me send this video to your commanding officer. That major's rank of yours will be gone. In a heartbeat. I looked at the divorce papers and let out a dry, humorless laugh. You had this already, didn't you? So eager to get rid of me. Who were you planning to bring? In? Her? I motioned to Heather. Heather immediately shrank behind Carol. Sarah, please, don't drag me into this. I'm just his secretary. My mother-in-law put her hands on her hips. How dare you accuse an innocent girl? Heather is 100 times more decent and respectful than a slut like you. Sign the papers and get out of my house. I stood up straight, my military bearing returning. I'm not signing anything. When I've been framed. Mark pointed to the corner of the room. Look again. Your bags are already packed. I turned. My duffel bag was there, my belongings sloppily stuffed inside. You really thought of everything, didn't you, Mark? I said. And your best friend? How much did you pay him to star in this little production? Jake, now fully dressed, leaned against the doorframe. You should know when. You're beaten, Sarah. We have the video. We have 3 witnesses. How are you? Going to deny it? Mark dragged my bag to the door. Get out. As of this moment, there's no place for a woman like you in this house. And don't let me see your face in this neighborhood again. I snatched the handle from his hand. You don't have to push me. I'll go. But, Mark, remember everything you all did here tonight. He laughed. Are you trying to threaten me with that commander voice of yours? You should be more worried about your career. By tomorrow, everyone will know what Major Sarah Connolly does behind her husband's back. From the doorway, Jake's eyes were still on me. Hey, if you need a place to stay, give me a call. I still remember your scent, Major. The door slammed shut behind me with a final, hollow boom. I didn't allow myself a moment to fall apart. I dragged my duffel bag out of the big-ass building, and my first stop was the hospital emergency room. I walked straight to the triage desk. The on-call physician looked at me with concern. Ma'am, are you all right? Why do you need a toxicology screening at this hour? I placed my military ID on the counter. I have reason to believe I was drugged, with a high-dose sedative against my will. I need blood and urine samples taken immediately as legal evidence. The doctor paused. If it was a standard anesthetic, the half-life is very short, and a comprehensive tox screen isn't cheap. I know, I said firmly. I need a certified lab result with an official seal, confirming any abnormal concentrations. A nurse gestured for me to sit. Here, honey, let's get your blood drawn. Are you feeling dizzy or nauseous? Yes, my head is pounding, I replied, but my mind is clear. Please also note the current state of my pupils in the report. The doctor nodded. All right, we'll put a rush on it. You should have preliminary results in a couple of hours. The next morning, before the sun was fully up, I was back at my condo building. In the security office, the head of security looked at me hesitantly. Major Connolly, building policy prohibits residents from reviewing security footage without a police request. I placed the lab results on the desk in front of him. I don't want to make things difficult for you, Mr. Henderson. This is a toxicology report showing I was drugged in my own apartment last night. I need your cooperation to track the placed in movements of the people in my unit, starting from 8 p.m. His eyes scanned the paper, and his expression changed instantly. What? Drugged? In your own home? That's a serious crime. It is, I said. Help me, and we can keep this as an internal matter for now. If I have to call in my colleagues from the base to make a formal inquiry, this building could have a major PR problem on its hands. He didn't hesitate any longer. Okay, have a seat. He pulled up the feed. Here's the hallway camera for your floor, 8 p.m. I watched the screen intently. Fast forward. They told me they went out to buy water. See if they ever go through the lobby or down to the parking garage. The footage sped up, and then he stopped it, his voice filled with confusion. That's odd. The apartment door stays shut the entire time. Nobody came out until you were pushed into the hallway. A cold smile touched my lips. So it's confirmed. The whole story about buying water and catching me in the act was a complete lie. Can you export this entire segment to a flash drive for me? I asked. And, please, keep this confidential. I'll make it worth your while. With the flash drive in my hand, I had a critical piece of the puzzle. No one left the apartment. That meant they were all there, either witnessing it or orchestrating it. But that piece wasn't enough. I needed to know the motive, and the motive wasn't in that apartment, it was in their characters. 2 days later, I sat in a quiet coffee shop, sunglasses hiding my eyes, my phone on the table silently recording. At a table in front of me sat Mark, my picture-perfect husband, and Heather, his secretary, looking perfectly at ease. Heather stirred her latte, her voice a childish whine. So, with that army bitch gone, do you feel better now? I almost burst out laughing when I saw her face as she got thrown out. Mark took her hand. Of course I do, living with a woman that cold, always. Barking orders. It was suffocating. Thank God for your plan. And Jake's help. I don't know how I would have gotten out of it otherwise. Heather leaned in. Speaking of which, that $200,000 loan you have is coming due. You're sure this divorce will get you the condo, right? That's the only way. You can pay me back. Mark sighed. Relax. With that video, she'll have to sign away her rights to the property. A major in the army can't afford an adultery scandal. She's not stupid enough to risk her whole career. He took a sip of his coffee, his tone dripping with contempt. She's a great soldier, but at home she's just a gullible fool. I dangle a little bait, and she walks right into the trap. At that moment, I understood everything. It wasn't just betrayal. It was a conspiracy. I followed them back to the condo building, hiding behind a large pillar in the lobby. What I saw next erased any lingering doubt. My mother-in-law, Carol, ran out as soon as their car pulled up, a huge smile on her face. Heather, dear, you're here. Come on in, I was just about to call you two for dinner. Heather hugged her. Hi, Carol. Mark just took me for a coffee to unwind. He's been so stressed dealing with all this divorce paperwork. Carol patted her arm. I know, dear. I can see how worn out he is, all because of that awful woman. I'm so glad we finally got rid of her. I've been waiting for this day for years. Mark carried Heather's handbag, his voice casual. Mom, Heather's going to stay with us for a few days to get away from things. After all, this condo will be ours soon enough. Carol beamed. I've already cleaned out the guest room. As soon as those papers are signed, I'm welcoming you as my official daughter-in-law. You're a real family woman, not like that cold-as-ice major. Heather glanced at Mark, her eyes triumphant. Oh, Carol, you'll make me blush. I just want to take good care of you and Mark. Mark lowered his voice, looking around. But be careful, Mom. If the neighbors ask, just say Heather is a cousin from out of town helping with the house. We need to wait for things to die down. Carol waved him off. You worry too much. Everyone around here knows Sarah. Cheated and got caught. They despise her now. No one's going to pay any attention to Heather. I stood there in silence, watching the whole family perform their roles to perfection. Leaving the building, I knew what I had seen was enough, but to tear down a carefully constructed play, I needed more evidence. My next stop was the bank. Sitting in the priority banking section, I watched my old college friend, Maya, scan through records on her computer. Sarah, I've checked the joint account you have with your husband for the past 6 months. There are a lot of irregular transactions. I nodded grimly. Just tell me. I need to know exactly where the money went. Maya turned the monitor towards me. Look, almost every month, Mark transferred between $3,000 and $4,000 to an account in the name of Heather Vance. It totals over $20. I pointed to a transaction line. That can't be a secretary's salary, can it? What's in the memo line? Maya hesitated, then read it aloud. The memo says, for my baby's rent. And here's another one for $5,000. Memo, happy anniversary. My fingers tightened on the edge of the desk. The money was being pulled from our joint savings account, the one we had both contributed to for years. He was using my sweat and blood to fund his affair. Maya looked at me with concern. Sarah, do you want to freeze the account? I see. He just made another withdrawal of $2,000 this morning. I shook my head. Let him. The more he takes, the stronger my case for financial misconduct and adultery becomes. Just print me a complete, certified copy of these statements with the bank's official seal. That night, I was in the small studio I'd rented, a stark contrast to the home I'd once known. But I had no time to dwell on it. My phone began to vibrate. Incessantly, a storm of incoming calls and messages. The first call I answered was a shriek. Sarah, how could you be so shameless? A major in the army, sleeping with your husband's best friend in your own home? You've disgraced our entire family. It was one of Mark's aunts. Another woman's voice cut in. Don't you dare stay silent. We're having a family meeting. And we're sending a letter to your commanding officer to have you stripped of your cabling. Rank, you filthy woman! I closed my eyes briefly. Let the law handle it, I said calmly, and hung up. But the phone didn't stop. Texts flooded in, one call after another. Then, a message from a colleague made me pause. Sarah, some blurry video of you and some guy is making the rounds online. The brass is starting to ask questions. Be careful. I stared at the screen, a grim smile forming on my lips. The next morning, I was at a carefully chosen cafe. My phone was placed strategically under a stack of papers, its recording app already active. I had smudged my makeup just enough to look haggard, the very image of a woman on the verge of a breakdown. When Jake walked in, he scanned the room, his eyes landing on me with a smirk that was part mockery, part lust. What's this, Major? Called me out here to apologize or to finish what we started the other night. I kept my head down, my hands twisting the hem of my shirt. Jake, I don't know who to trust anymore. Mark has abandoned me. His family is sending me death threats. I sat alone all night, and for some reason the only person I could think of was you. You were the one who was with me that night after all. Jake seemed taken aback for a second, but his arrogant smile quickly returned. So, after your husband kicks you to the curb, you finally realize my value? Well, better late than never, I guess. I looked up, my eyes a carefully crafted mix of vulnerability and admiration. Honestly, I've always thought you were better than Mark in every way. You're strong, confident. You have this worldly, rugged edge. Mark, he just has his fancy degrees and titles. Deep down, he's always been jealous of your freedom, of your masculinity. Jake slapped his thigh and laughed out loud. You got that right. That little punk has been hiding behind me since we were kids to avoid getting beat up. But he always acts so high and mighty, looking down on me for being a businessman. Without my help, he never would have pulled off that little stunt. I sighed dramatically. But I'm so worried about you. Helping Mark like that. If it ever comes out, you'll be the first one to take the fall. You could go to jail. What does Mark have that's worth you sacrificing your own reputation? Are you just going to live in his shadow forever? My question hit its mark. Jake's expression shifted. The smugness was still there, but now it was laced with a flicker of doubt. I didn't push. I just watched him, letting the silence stretch, letting his ego do the work for me. I knew I had found his weak spot. Jake, tell me the truth, I whispered. Did Mark ask you to help him drug me? I need to hear it from you, not from that traitor. His eyes darted around, a hint of suspicion returning. Hey, don't try to set me up. What drugs? You were drunk that night. You seduced me, remember? I'm just a man. How could I resist a powerful woman like you? I changed my tactics instantly, letting tears well up in my eyes. You still don't believe me? You really think I'm that kind of woman? The truth is, I have had a crush on you for a long time. I always felt you were so much more of a man than Mark. I even thought, if I ever had the chance, I'd divorce him to be with you. But I would never, ever do it like that. I'm a direct person. When I want something, I go for it myself. Jake froze, staring at me as if he couldn't believe what he was hearing. Are you serious? I lowered my head, my shoulders trembling. But now, His whole family thinks I'm some slut who preys on my husband's best friend. If I get divorced like this, I'll lose everything, my assets, my career, my honor. A broken woman like me. How could I ever stand beside a man as capable as you? I didn't look at him, but I could feel his gaze on me soften. The suspicion was gone, replaced by a mixture of pity and self-satisfaction. Sarah, I had no idea you felt that way about me. What does he have that you don't? I pressed, looking up at him. Are you going to let him use you your whole life while he gets all the money and the glory? Imagine. If I keep my rank as major, and I choose to be with you, that would be the ultimate proof that you won, that you're better than him in every way. That was the trigger. I saw Jake's eyes light up, his breathing quicken. He had taken the bait. He leaned forward, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. Okay. Seeing you like this, I can't stand it. The whole thing was Mark's plan. He promised me a huge cut of the money after he got the condo from you. I widened my eyes, playing my part. How long was he planning this? He gave me $5,000 up front, he boasted. The drug was a high-grade sedative. He mixed it into your water himself. All I had to do was lie there and wait. He took his mom and Heather out to the living room, waited exactly 15 minutes, then stormed in with the camera. Every word, every detail, was being captured by the phone under the papers. But the video, I whispered, it looks like I was the one making a move. Mark planned that too, he said with a snort. He told me how to position the camera, how to arrange our bodies, so when he came in, it looked like you were all over me. The great army major, just a pawn in his game. I see, I said softly. Thank you for being honest with me, Jake. Now I know what I have to do. He was completely oblivious, reaching for my hand. Don't worry, you just go. Through with the divorce. I'll take care of you. Mark is too busy with Heather to care about you now. I pulled my hand away and stood up. I'll deal with him. And soon, then we'll have all the time in the world. Just wait for my good news. He nodded, his eyes following me with a deluded proprietary gaze. I'll be waiting, my major. I walked out of the cafe, a small, triumphant smile on my face as I stopped the recording on my phone. I played it back. His confession was crystal clear. The fool didn't just confess. He bragged about it. 3 days later, as I walked into the courthouse, I felt a calm that was almost chilling. Mark was there in a tailored suit, his hair perfectly styled. Beside him, his mother clutched a tissue, playing the part of the heartbroken mother. Jake was slouched in a chair, a smug look on his face as if he were waiting for a movie to start. I walked in wearing simple civilian clothes. My composure seemed to unsettle. Mark, you're on time. Good. In front of the judge, you'd better just admit everything and get it over with. Don't make me release the full, unedited video to the public. Jake winked at me. Hey there, Major. You look a little stressed. Don't worry. I'll testify exactly as we discussed. I looked him straight in the eye, my lips curling into a slight smile. Yes. Let's go inside. The truth needs to be heard in a place of honor. Inside the courtroom, the judge sat, stern and impassive. When the proceedings began, Mark was the first to speak. Your Honor, I never imagined the wife I loved and trusted would betray me in the most vile way possible. She used the excuse of being drunk to bring my best friend into our home and have an affair in our marital bed. The judge looked down at him. Do you have any proof of this accusation? Mark held up his phone. I have a video of the entire disgusting act. Furthermore, my mother and my secretary were witnesses. My honor as a husband has been utterly destroyed. Carol stood up, her voice trembling. Your Honor, I'm his mother. That night I saw her with my own eyes, in bed with Mr. Miller. I was so heartbroken I nearly fainted. How could she be so depraved when my son worked so hard to provide for? Here? Jake then stood, bowing his head in mock remorse. Your Honor, I know I was wrong not to stop it, but it was Major Connolly who initiated everything. She said her husband was boring, that she needed a new thrill. I was a victim of her seduction. One by one, they delivered their lines. If I hadn't lived it, I might have believed them myself. I stood up. Your Honor, I request permission to present the actual sequence of events, along with evidence to refute these claims. Mark shot me a glare. What is there to deny? The evidence is undeniable. The judge banged his gavel. Mr. Connolly, You will remain silent. Miss Connolly, you may proceed. I walked to the clerk's table and placed a folder and a flash drive on it. Your Honor, first, I would like to present the security footage from our building's hallway on the night in question. According to Mr. Connolly, he, his mother, and Miss Vance left the apartment to buy water before returning to catch me in the seas. Act. The video played on the courtroom monitor. I pointed to the screen. From 8 p.m., when Mr. Miller and Miss Vance arrived, until 11 p.m., when I was thrown out, the apartment door never opened. No one went to buy water. They were all inside the entire time I was unconscious. The color drained from Mark's face. That could be a glitch in the camera. She's fabricating evidence, I continued, unfazed. Second, this is the toxicology report from the hospital, conducted that very night. It shows an extremely high level of a powerful sedative in my system, enough to render a trained soldier completely unconscious for 3 hours. And finally, and most importantly, I invite the court to listen to this. I played the audio file. Jake's voice filled the silent courtroom, clear as day. The whole thing was Mark's plan. He promised me a huge cut. He gave me $5,000 up front. The drug was a high-grade sedative. He mixed it into your water. Himself. He even told me how to position the camera so it looked like you were all over me. The courtroom erupted in gasps and whispers. Jake leaped to his feet, his face ashen. How did you? You recorded me. You tricked me. I stared at him coldly. I didn't trick you, Jake. I just let you proudly recount your achievements. He spun toward Mark in a panic. Mark, look what you did. I told you not to mess with her. Now we're all going down. Mark lunged at him, his face purple with rage. You treacherous idiot! How could you say all that? Do you know you just sent us all to prison? Jake shoved him back. You're the one who ruined me. You said your plan was perfect. You said she'd be too scared of losing her career to fight back. You forced me to do it. He turned to the judge, frantic. Your Honor, I'll confess. Mark was the mastermind. He gave me money to frame Major Connolly. He then looked at me, his body trembling. Sarah, please, I'm begging you, forgive me. Mark manipulated me. He said he was drowning in debt and had to get the condo, so he got desperate. I was just a pawn. Carol clutched her chest, gasping. Oh my God, what is happening? I addressed the judge. Your Honor, the truth is now clear. This was not a simple case of adultery. This was an organized conspiracy to defame a military officer, commit assault, and fraudulently seize assets. I request that this case be referred to the District Attorney's Office for criminal investigation into the charges of assault, defamation, and conspiracy to commit fraud against Mr. Connolly and Mr. Miller. The judge banged his gavel repeatedly. Order! Order in the court! All parties! I will be seated. This court will recess to consider these new serious pleasant developments. When the session resumed, the atmosphere was thick with tension. I stood again, opening a new file. Your Honor, Mr. Connolly's conspiracy was not just about defaming me. His ultimate goal was to liquidate our shared assets to pay off his personal debts and support his mistress. Mark shot up. That's a lie. That money was for company expenses, for salaries. I handed the documents to the clerk. Is that so? Then I invite the court to review these bank statements, showing regular monthly transfers of thousands of dollars to an account belonging to Miss Heather Vance, with memos like, for my baby's rent. Is this a standard secretarial salary, Your Honor? Before he could speak, I continued. Furthermore, I have evidence of a $200,000 personal loan Mr. Connolly took out and lost on a bad investment. He staged this entire affair to force me to sign over my stake in our condo, our only significant asset, so he could use it to cover his debts. Mark screamed, his voice breaking. Sarah, are you trying to destroy me? We were husband and wife. When you drugged me, I shot back. When you let your friend get into bed with me while you and your mother stood by and filmed it? At that moment, did you consider us husband and wife? The courtroom fell silent. The judge banged his gavel one last time. Mr. Connolly, you will be silent. The evidence of these financial transactions perfectly aligns with the motive for this conspiracy. I closed my folder. The judge began to read the verdict. Based on the evidence and testimony presented, this court grants the petition, for divorce. Regarding the division of assets, the court finds that Mr. Connolly has engaged in a severe breach of his fiduciary duty to the marital estate. Mark was trembling, barely able to stand. Your Honor, the condo, the judge continued, his voice unwavering. All funds Mr. Connolly illicitly transferred to Miss Heather Vance during the marriage are deemed marital assets and are to be fully repaid to the estate before division. As for the condo, in itself, due to Mr. Connolly's egregious fault in the dissolution of this marriage and his attempts at fraud, the court awards 70% of the property's value to Major Connolly. Carol shrieked, "Oh God, no! We'll be homeless! Your Honor, this is so unfair!" I turned to look at her, my eyes like ice. Unfair? When you stood by and watched your son destroy your daughter-in-law, did you ever once think about what was fair? Mark collapsed to his knees. That $200,000 debt? How will I ever pay it? As the trial ended, I walked out into the lobby. Jake rushed up behind me. Sarah, it's over. I lost money on this deal too. Just let me go. I laughed without humor. Over? You're mistaken, Jake. What happened in there? That was just the beginning. Mark looked up, his eyes bloodshot. What more do you want? You've taken my house, my money. I'm not finished, I declared, my voice ringing with authority. I will be filing a civil suit for damages, and I am formally requesting the DA press criminal charges for assault with a controlled substance, conspiracy to commit, fraud, and defamation of a U.S. Army officer. Carol stumbled toward me. You're really going to send Mark to prison? He was your husband. He was a traitor, I corrected her, and anyone who aided him will face the consequences. You should all get ready for your subpoenas. Mark stared at me, his face a mask of desperation. Sarah, don't you have any love left for me? My love died the night you handed me that glass of water, I said, turning my back on them. From now on, I only speak the language of evidence and the law. The legal machine, once in motion, moved with a speed none of them had anticipated. A week later, I was at the police station. My uniform was immaculate. Beside me was my lawyer. Across from us sat Mark and Jake, their former arrogance replaced by the hollow-eyed fear of men facing the abyss. A detective read from a document. Based on the evidence and sworn testimony, this office is officially charging Mr. Mark Connolly and Mr. Jake Miller with felony assault, conspiracy to commit fraud, and criminal defamation. Mark's hand shook as he signed the paperwork. Officer, I just wanted a divorce. I never thought, I'm an educated man, I can't go to prison. The detective stared at him. An educated man who uses high-grade sedatives on his wife? Your bank accounts and Miss Vance's have been frozen pending an Ensley investigation into fraudulent conveyance of assets. Now, please come with us for further questioning. Just then, Heather burst in, her face pale and frantic. Why is my account frozen? That was money Mark gave me. It's my personal property. I stepped in front of her. Personal property bought with money from my joint savings account. You should get a lawyer, Heather. Receiving and spending assets acquired through criminal activity is a felony. Her eyes burned with a mixture of hatred and fear. You're really going to ruin all of us? You chose this path, I said calmly. I'm just turning on the lights so you can see the hole you dug for yourselves. As they were led away, my lawyer finished up some paperwork. Jake was brought out of an interrogation room. He stopped when he saw me. Sarah, wait. I need to ask you something. I crossed my arms. What is there to say? You've told the police everything. He took a step closer. That day at the cafe, what you said about me, about admiring me, about me being better than Mark, was any of it true? Or was it all just an act to trap me? I let out a short, sharp laugh. You're seriously asking me that? Jake, do you really think a major in the United States Army would admire a pathetic, unemployed con man who betrays his friends and helps drug a woman? Is that what you think? He stood frozen. But you said you'd noticed me for a long time. I thought you had feelings for me, and that's why you went this far, to get revenge on Mark because he didn't deserve you. I looked him dead in the eye. You are so breathtakingly stupid that you let a man use you as a weapon and you still thought you were the prize. You weren't the prize, Jake. You were a cheap, disposable tool Mark used to get rid of me. And you were the perfect piece of evidence I used to send you all to prison. He staggered back, his face white. You... I turned away, no longer interested. Save that incredible naivety for your cellmate. Maybe he can explain to you the price of letting yourself become someone else's pawn. And never, ever delude yourself about your place in my world again. You aren't even on the map. I walked away, leaving him standing alone in the sterile hallway. A few days later, I returned to the condo building one last time to collect the final property-related documents. As I entered the lobby, I heard shouting. Heather and Carol were in a full-blown screaming match, wrestling over a suitcase that had burst open, spilling clothes across the marble floor. Let go of me, Heather shrieked. I told you, with Mark in jail, I'm broke. I'm not sticking around to take care of you and pay off his debts? Carol held on tight. Where do you think you're going? When my son was giving you money and buying you designer bags, you weren't saying that. Now that he's in trouble, you're just going to run? He gave me that money willingly, Heather shot back. Now my accounts are frozen. How am I supposed to live? Look at yourself. Your son is going to prison. Your condo is being sold off, and you want to leech off me? Get lost. She shoved Carol hard, sending the older woman sprawling to the floor. A crowd of residents had gathered, watching the spectacle. Wow, one of them muttered. She used to parade this one around like royalty, saying she was so much better than the major. Look at them now. It's called karma, another added. You reap what you sow. I walked past the commotion, my voice even. Carol, Heather, it seems you're busy. I'm just here to pick up some papers. Don't let me interrupt your discussion. Carol scrambled to her feet and ran toward me. Sarah, please help me, stop. This little witch from leaving. I sidestepped her touch, my gaze cold as steel. You're mistaken, Carol. This is the woman you chose to replace me. Good luck settling your debts with each other. I walked to the elevator and pressed the button, not looking back as the sound of their screaming faded behind me. Theme music fades in. Announcer, you've been listening to The Midnight Hour. The author of tonight's story, The Liar's Stage, reminds us that some mistakes can be fixed, but some choices carry a price that can never be fully paid. Greed, betrayal, and the resties to Olodes 2-5. Arrogance of underestimating others can make people feel like they are in control, when in reality, they are only digging their own graves. Justice may be slow, but it is inevitable, and in the end, the greatest victory isn't revenge, but preserving one's own honor, integrity, and clarity of mind, refusing to be a character in someone else's dirty play. Thank you for listening. Join us again next time for another story from the shadows. Good night.